Hello there, everyone. This is Kim Victoria, and I am continuing with the Vintage Music Journal, and this is the cover. And today's video is about how I constructed this cover and some plans for its future. So that's all I'm going to do today, and I hope that this is informative and helps you make decisions about fabric. This is a nice cushy cover. You're going to see how I do that. So let's get started. Once again, I want to explain something about the fabric because I've had a lot of experience with fabric and I want to save you some time, right? So you're gonna, hopefully you're gonna experiment with fabric. I have experimented with fabric a great deal. Um, this fabric I chose for vintage music because and I changed my mind. Originally, I was going to have a black fabric and do some things on top of it. But then I went through my stash and I found this fabric. This is it has a hard back, but it has a velour front. Okay, this is the top of it. You can see the contrast there, the difference. And a velour has a nap. And when you think of a nap, velvet has a very obvious nap. You know, there's the little fibers are sticking up. And this is a velour, and it has a nap, but it's subtle. So if you push the fabric one way, it raises the nap. And this is the orientation I have it. And if you stroke it this way, it flattens it out. And if I do them side by side, hopefully you can see that a little bit in, okay, there you can see the change in how that nap is reflecting light. Okay? So what we want to determine is which way do we want that nap to go that is right side up on our cover. And what I want is for the nap to be stroked downward. So I want this to be the top of the journal and this to be the bottom. Now I'm doing some extra structure here. Now this is going to be a glued fabric cover. And I changed my mind from making it a sewn cover when I chose this fabric. I really want this to come out good. Okay. So I have decided to do this as a glued cover. So there's my velour. I'm going to keep it oriented. The top is away from me. Now this is a, a nice quilt bat. It's just one of the thinner types that it's already in a nice flat. You don't have to try and smooth out some quilt batting that is all the loose fiber fill kind of stuff. This has all been pressed down. I have two layers here. So let's go through that. And let me go ahead and do some assembly here. I have chosen to cut really hard boards. These are very thick. This is not a cereal box. This was uh, probably the back of some kind of a writing pad. I don't know, actually it was scrapbook paper, but it was one of the backing boards for scrapbook paper, and you can tell because this little glue thingy here. And so I don't remember exactly, but that is what it was. All right. So I have my three pieces. I have my spine. It's a 2-inch spine. This is 6 by 9. I have two of those. I like this size. It goes really well with the A2 letter size paper. And I am using the grid on my board to line things up so that my boards are all in alignment with each other. And it's probably going to wiggle a little bit. So I'm going to use the fabric tack, which is a quick dry permanent fabric adhesive. It's an acetone base. It's not water based. Now the reason I am using that for this project, and I have a little rag handy to keep the top clean. I want this set up ahead of time I'm going to do a layered effect with the fiberfill, the quilt batting. It's actually quilt batting. So I don't need a lot of glue, okay? And it's going to become apparent because I'm going to be wrapping those edges around the side of this cardboard. I don't need a lot, and I'm just going to get enough on there. And I don't have to go right up to the edge. That I'm going to start with the smaller one. What I have learned from furniture upholsterers is that your top layer should wrap over your lower layers and it creates a softer edge to your finished upholstery. And essentially, I am upholstering these boards. I am upholstering them. Kind of an interesting concept, isn't it? So let me line this up with this line here. I'm going to leave that gap. And then my boards won't be moving anymore once I get this first piece on. And I am also definitely going to have a floating spine. So I am not going to need to penetrate this cardboard. This is very, very hard, thick cardboard. I think it would be very difficult to penetrate it with the the awl, the bookbinding tool. All right, so same thing here. I was going to slide that over just a skosh so I can see the line, see the line of the grid. And I'm leaving enough room, basically a board width. The cardboard width is what I'm leaving. And the other advantage to having two layers of this fiberfill, this quilt batting, I gotta say the right thing because it's a quilt bat. It is I bought it at a quilt shop. It is official. Uh, one of the reasons I'm doing two layers is, yes, I want to create a little cush. I want a little cushion. I want this cover to feel soft and, just, yeah, it's going to be very, very pleasant. This one is ever so slightly larger than the boards. And so that means it will wrap around the edge a little bit and it will soften the edges of the boards as well. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm looking at it and my boards are in alignment with each other. I don't want to change that. They're staying in alignment. And we're in alignment here and we're in alignment there. Really good. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little dab of glue. And that's the other thing is that I'm going to be stretching the fabric around these boards, around the fiberfill. I won't have to glue it. I haven't seen this done before. I'm just I'm just making it up. So yes, I'm hoping that this will work well. I don't see why not, because especially since I'm not planning on penetrating those hard boards with my bookbinding tool and sewing all the way through it. I think that would be I think that would be difficult. Okay. There's not a lot of glue on there. Okay. Here goes. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's going to curve around those edges. I might need to trim it slightly, but I don't think so. Okay. I want to give this a few minutes to set up. So now you can see the gap. The glue is set up a bit. We have just a teeny little bit that can wrap around the edges as long as I don't pull the fabric too tight. And this little gap acts as the place where this board folds into that gap, which is important. So we have this nice alignment, at least right now with that fiber, that quilt batting, I can stretch that a little bit, make sure it stays that way. Okay, so now we have our fabric, and I can always test it by rubbing it and going like, ah, the nap has just raised, and that's when the nap goes down. So this is my top. There we go. So normally I would be gluing. Oh, isn't that funny? That's kind of maybe a little more aggressive there. I want that to hold its distance. Okay. Normally we probably would be gluing the fabric to the front of our boards if we weren't having this cushion. And I don't want to add any glue to the front. I want it to stay, I want it to keep that cushy look. So I hope I'm making the right decision there. Um, because of course, well, no, it's because it's nice and flat and it's going to be, yeah, it's going to flex. Normally it would be glued on. I think I'm going to, I'm this, again, I am experimenting. I'm always experimenting. Uh, but yeah, I do want to miter the corners. Now, when I pulled the fabric tight from side to side, I did draw in the sides onto the spine board a little bit. So this wants to spring open. I'm going to let the glue cure with the spine held closed, and that will stretch everything. And that's the main thing that I want to do right now is just let that stretch. But it does make a really pretty cover, and when I'm done with it, I think it will look really nice. So let me let the glue set up, and we'll then go on. So my cover is dry. Yes, the glue is nicely set. It's really luxurious feeling. It's really, really lovely, and that little cush. It's just so nice. So what I've got here now is I've cut two panels of scrapbook paper that are going to go on either side, and I have a piece of the fabric that is going to go in the middle. But here's what's going to happen is that I can't put these papers in yet. What I can put in is I can put in this little piece of fabric in the middle. So I do want to do that, and the reason is that I'm going to be cutting another piece of this fabric, and it's going to go it's going to go across quite a ways because actually I think it's going to go like one of these directions. At any rate, it's going to go out from the hinge part of the spine in both directions that way because it's going to be a floating spine. And I've done that once before. And I will put the link to Frieda Friemel Tina on that channel demonstrates this so well, and I have referred to her video before. So that's how I learned how to do this floating spine. It's very effective. Creates a beautifully flat opening journal, and I want this to have that quality. So that's the black and white journal that I've already created and have a video for. I did that in there. So I want to do that again. So I can go ahead. The thing about this is that with a floating spine, I'm not sure if I can convey this very well, is that there's going to be this opening so that when it closes, there's going to be a little bit of a movement there. But when it opens, so yeah, so it'll cup in a little bit. It's a little hard to describe, but it really works. It's what old-fashioned sewn-in signature books were, is that they had these signatures were sewn into a separate piece of cloth so that they would move and flatten nicely. So you can kind of see a little of that action there, where this separate piece of cloth moves. At any rate, you will be able to see down, and I want to go ahead and cover up this piece of cardboard. So I'm just going to have a thin piece here, so I can just cut off a little bit of that, and I'm going to glue that in place. And then this cover is as done as I am going to do it until I have the signatures. So the signatures are the big deal. Is so when I get the signatures all sewn into this other spine, the floating spine, then I can attach glue that fabric into here, and it'll all make sense later. And then when that fabric is in, then I'm going to cover everything with these end panels. So I'm just going to glue in this center section, and this cover is done for the moment. I am going to be doing more to it, but it's going to involve putting things under the edge of the those end papers. I've chosen my closure, so I'm going to have this pretty ribbon. This was a ribbon that had wire inside, so I stripped the wire out, and that's really easy to do. You just kind of get it started and grab it with a pair of pliers and just work it. Just work on it. So this is going to be the closure. It's going to be a very pretty journal. So I'm just breaking this project down into sections, and this is where I am with the cover for now. And the next thing is for me to start working on the signatures. And I have lots of fun ideas for the signatures. Again, this is going to be kind of a musical theme. And so, yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was informative. And so the rest of the cover is just going to have to wait until I have signatures. So, all right, bye for now.